Welcome to Hack Your Happiness.
All these amazing drivers who were going for the championship last year. And at first I had like a moment of like, okay, I don't know if I belong here.
Are you a teen or adult looking for more happiness in every day and ways to connect with people in your life?
You've come to the right place. Hack Your Happiness is a podcast designed to bring you the behind the scenes of what brings iconic individuals happiness, plus their life hacks.
I'm Mercedes.
And I'm Anastasia.
And we're the two teens behind Small Bits of Happiness.
We're interviewing Olympic athletes, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and more.
Throughout all of our episodes, you'll find great conversations, hacks that you can take away and try in your life, inspiration, as well as unique and surprising insights. Today, we're speaking with Toni Breidinger. Toni is the #1 most followed NASCAR driver, #1 female race car driver in the world, #5 most engaged female athlete. Toni is 24 years old and from California. She began racing at 9 years old at her home track, Sonoma Raceway. Toni raced go-karts for 6 years around North America and Jamaica. At 15, she switched to open wheel and became the most winning female in the U.S. Auto Club Series. Toni has 19 wins. Toni moved to stock car racing at the age of 19 and became a NASCAR driver at the age of 21 in 2021. She is a driver for Toyota Racing Development and has earned 1 podium, 4 top 5s, and 16 top 10s. In 2023, Toni made history being the first female to run 2 NASCAR races in just 1 day. Toni will compete full-time for Toyota Racing Development's Venturini Motorsports in 2024. Outside of racing, Toni is an accomplished model and has been featured in campaigns for Gap, Victoria's Secret, Free People, and beyond. She has appeared on Ellen and The Today Show and has been featured in print on the New York Post, GQ, Marie Claire, Shape Magazine, and Glamour. Her vast social media following of over 5 million followers has made Toni one of the most followed NASCAR drivers. Welcome, Toni.
Thank you. That's such an amazing intro. I appreciate it.
Before we get into this week's episode of Hack Your Happiness, we just want to quickly say, check out our happiness wellness products designed by us for individuals of all ages to help you bring a small bit of happiness to your home with our tangible tips and tools. Check them out in the show notes. We are so excited to be speaking with you today. We're huge fans. You are so incredible and iconic. And you're a very successful NASCAR driver. So take us back to the beginning. How did your journey begin?
Yeah, so I started racing when I was 9 years old in go-karts with my twin sister, Annie, and I knew nothing about racing or motorsports until I got into go-karting. And my dad just saw an advertisement on the highway, a billboard saying something about go-kart classes, and he just asked if that's something that me and my sister would be interested in just doing for fun for the weekend. And we had nothing else going on. It was winter break, so we were like, sure, why not? And I remember it so vividly, which is funny because I'm a very forgetful person, but I remember the exact moment that I saw like that go-kart in person and I was about to hop in. Like it's such like a vivid memory for me and those first few laps, and I definitely fell in love with it right away, and so did my sister. And yeah, it's kind of how it all started. It was just kind of a family activity at first and just kind of blossomed into what it is now.
I love that so much.
Yeah, that's so sweet how you guys like kind of found your interest for go-karting and eventually full-on driving together. And I think that's so cool how it's like such a core memory to you, because oftentimes like if we're so deeply passionate about something, like that can carry through. And I love hearing about how when you're a child and your childhood dream like kind of coming through and following through into adulthood. I think it's so amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So being a race car driver and NASCAR is so difficult. You know, there's so many extremes and challenges that come with it. But what do you think your biggest challenge has been through your entire journey?
Yeah, I would say it's been lots of ups and downs. Coming up through the ladder system and through motorsports, I've never done anything like this before. Nobody in my family has. So I really had no guidance, and it was a lot of trial and error. So I've definitely made a lot of mistakes, but also learned from a lot of them as well. But yeah, I would say, there's been different struggles, I think, for me, making sure that I'm with teams who really believe in me and don't just see me as a girl race car driver. Like for me, I really want to be treated as an equal. And I think, if they believe that I can actually be successful and they really believe in my journey, then those are the people that I want around me. Because you can be with the best team that has the best results, but if they don't truly believe in what you're trying to achieve, then you're not going to get those results with them. So I think just really surrounding yourself with people who truly believe in you is important.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I think no matter where you are in life and no matter what you're trying to accomplish, being surrounded by people who elevate you, who believe in you, who want to see you succeed and be the best possible version of you is so important. And even being a teenager, like trying to hang out with friends who you want to be more like and trying to surround yourself with people who have similar interests and goals as you it can be so challenging and so tough, but it is so important. So I love how, sometimes that might not be the most winning team, but also like I feel like you can achieve more if you're surrounded by people who elevate you.
Definitely.
100%.
Absolutely. So can you describe a specific high pressure situation you've encountered during a race and how you managed to stay calm under those circumstances?
Yeah, so I would say my most recent one was probably the truck race at Daytona earlier this year in February. I've raced Daytona a few times in the ARCA series, but everyone said the truck was going to be way more difficult to drive, especially in like the pack. It's going to move around a lot more. So there's like a lot of unknowns that I wasn't going to feel until like I was like in the thick of the race. So that was definitely like tense for me, just like I was feeling all these different sensations with the truck and like aero and all this stuff. And the race was very competitive. So I think for me, I was like also just around so many drivers. I remember looking around and I was like, wow, like there's like Corey Heim right by me. And then there's like Ben Rhodes and like all these amazing drivers who are going for the championship last year. And at first I had like a moment of like, okay, I don't know if I belong here. But then like as we got to like the second stage and like early into like the third stage, I was like, oh, I'm still around this like group of people. So I think there's a reason why I'm here. So I think for me, just I'm kind of reminding myself to kind of take deep breaths and also that like I belong and I didn't just happen to be there. Like I had like, we were there for a reason and in that position for a reason. So yeah, kind of think just that inner confidence in yourself kind of helps calm you for sure.
I love that so much because I think a lot of the times everybody deals with self-doubt, and sometimes when we look at icons like you and we're like, wow, she's, in the championships and she's amazing, she's a model and she's doing all these things. But, hearing that you also might sometimes have moments of low self-doubt, that's
feeling
that's
like
normal.
you don't belong in somewhere.
But
and I think
just
that
keeping on going and remembering that.
having those like inner self-confidence and saying, I believe that I am good at what I do and I belong among these other amazing, high profile and achieving people. And I mean, definitely you're one of them. You're one of the most talented, amazing race car NASCAR drivers. And I just think that having that inner self-confidence and believing in yourself
can really help during those stressful moments.
And those like high pressure, high achieving moments. So definitely, do you have like 3 other tips for staying calm in those high pressure situations?
Like what would you be your top 3 tips for teens to stay calm in high pressure situations?
Yeah, I have like a couple things I do in the race car. One thing for me, which doesn't really apply like that much to other people, is I always try to like make sure to like relax my hands, because I feel like even like if you're just like, I guess it could apply to other situations. If you're like really tense, then I feel like it almost makes you more nervous. But if you just like relax your body and just like chill out, then I feel like that kind of just like makes you like so calm overall. So when I'm driving like down the straightaway when I'm racing, I'll make sure to just kind of like wiggle my fingers and my hands and be like, okay, like don't be tense, because this like makes you like internally tense if you're physically tense. And then also just taking deep breaths, I think is really important. And just, I think when you're like holding your breath or like breathing really fast, and it kind of gives you anxiety. But I think if you can kind of like take those moments to take a deep breath, it kind of just calms you down. And I would say for my third tip is just really like being present and like soaking in where I am and just knowing that like I'm in control of the situation and I'm in the situation and I deserve to be in the situation. It's really having like those kind of grounding thoughts helps me as well.
Just being physically present as well as being able to, wiggle your fingers, and how being physically tense can make you internally tense. And just
so true.
Knowing that and saying, hey, I know how I can make myself less physically tense, and this will benefit me both physically.
What I really love is how all those tips are so easy to do in any situation. It's not like you're going for like say a hike or going outdoors to get fresh air is so helpful, but you don't always have access to resources like
if
that.
You're writing a test.
No matter what, you can always take a deep breath. Remember that, you're in the present moment. You've gotten yourself to where you are at right now, and you deserve, to do everything that you've earned. And so I think that those are great because you can do them no matter where you are.
Definitely.
What time it is, no matter what you're doing. And I love that.
I think
carry that with you.
Being present is also so important. And, saying I'm in control of the situation, like you said. Yeah. I think because a lot of times we feel like things are out of our control, but majority of the time we can actually control so much and we don't even realize that.
So do you do any specific mental prep before you go into a high pressure situation or race?
Yeah, I do. Kind of just like a little bit what we touched on. I work with like a kind of like a mental coach, and she'll help me kind of like go through like little like steps that I'll do like before like my races, and even like weeks leading up. Like I struggled a lot last year with kind of like an imposter syndrome and feeling like I didn't really belong or deserve to be where I was. And I feel like, a lot of people will say it like in a joking way, oh, you just got there by luck, or you got it because you're a girl. And like I always used to brush it off. I think internally, like it kind of like accumulated. And then I realized like, okay, I think this is like affecting my performance because I feel like I don't belong and I just got here by luck, which really wasn't the case. So something that helped me was kind of like making this little list of things that I've achieved, because kind of like going back to being present, like you're in it, you're going through life, you're going through the motions and you're achieving all these things, but like you don't even have like time to really take it in and realize like, hey, 5 years ago, this was a dream of mine and I just achieved it. So I think it's so easy for life to just go by so fast to where you're achieving all these amazing things and you're growing so much as a person, but you just don't even realize it. So just kind of like almost making a list and like writing down what you've achieved. And like every morning I journal, and on race days, I make sure to journal and write down my goals and what I'm feeling. And I feel like just having like those grounding moments really helps kind of make you feel like you belong.
Yeah, grounding yourself is so important. And I think that so many times, I've experienced the same thing, and it's so cool and interesting to hear how, you've experienced it too, where you feel like you don't belong or you don't deserve to have what you have, regardless of whether it's being a race car driver or doing well on a test or getting into a certain school, and you're like, wow, like maybe it was just by luck, like something happened, somebody else didn't show up and that's why I got it. But actually realizing that you do deserve that and that you have earned it. And I love the idea of writing down your achievements, because you're right, life comes and goes so quickly, especially when you're in the thick of it and you're like just going for everything, which is amazing. But, no matter whether it is in school, whether it is in a sport, whether it's in maybe, I don't know, whatever you're pursuing, just writing down what you've achieved maybe in the past month, since the beginning of maybe 2024, since you started pursuing your goal or your interest.
It's so easy to get lost in life by saying, here's what I want to achieve. And then as soon as you achieve it, you're saying, that's great. Time for the next thing. But you don't even appreciate the fact that when you were younger, you were dreaming of this achievement, and all of a sudden you've achieved it and you're not even celebrating it.
Exactly.
And
it's celebrating all the wins is so important.
Small things, even like, not crashing your car in a race, passing a test, not like being super stressed out when you're doing something that you thought was going to be really stressful. Celebrating all these little small things is such a great way to start building those habits and stop feeling so scared of doing things that are scarier, because you know that you're going to be able to celebrate them.
And I think sometimes the anticipation of a stressful situation can be even more so stressful than the actual,
100%.
right? So do you experience this? And if you do, what do you do to overcome that kind of anticipatory stress?
Yeah, definitely. Before a race, I hate like that waiting time frame where like we're waiting for like sometimes over an hour, like it'll be a few hours. And I know as soon as I get in the race car and my helmet's on, the engine starts, I'm going to totally fine. Like all the butterflies go away. But yeah, no, I hate like the lead up to a race. It's awful. But yeah, a couple of things I do is like I almost try to distract myself at times. Like I'll just talk to like my team, because I'm definitely an overthinker. So I'll just talk to my team about random stuff, not even relating to the race. If I have like, any of like my photographers or like team with me, like in the hall, like we'll just hang out and just have like chill conversations. Thankfully, I am usually pretty busy during race day with other interviews and obligations, which I honestly love doing, because then I'm not just sitting around thinking. But yeah, I think kind of like keeping my mind off of it helps. And then leading up to like when it gets up to like 30 minutes before a race, and that's kind of like my time for myself to like really get centered and have some peace and quiet and just my own inner thoughts. But yeah, it's kind of what I do, almost like push it away and like distract myself in a sense.
I love that, because when you have like overwhelming thoughts, whether it's before you take a test, before you go in a race, before you compete, before you go on stage to perform, there can be a lot of thinking and thoughts that kind of throw you off at first, and it's not helping you, it's not benefiting you. There's really no point in experiencing that stress. So kind of sometimes distracting yourself is just the best thing. Sometimes just getting away from those thoughts by doing something completely different
Or like
is the
talking
best
about
thing.
something, totally random,
Exactly.
like,
Or even like I find like listening to music and just like
Yes.
zoning out. Going into a different part of your life is
definitely.
is
And
key.
again, like going back to being present, just realizing that you're here right now and staying away from just being all caught up in your thoughts. So, what is your favorite method to be more present?
Yeah, I would say kind of just like I don't know. I feel like I've done like a lot of little things. One thing I think that has helped me a lot was journaling. Every morning, like writing down, like, what am I doing today? What am I grateful for? What would I like to achieve? What did I achieve yesterday? So I think for me, like starting my morning journaling has really helped me. Like it's just very grounding. And I feel like that was a big thing for me. And then also just like not thinking ahead. Like I had a habit last year of I'll be about to go out for practice and I'm already thinking about the race. And it's like, no, just think about practice. So almost just training my mind and being really disciplined to think about what am I doing in this moment? Like, and I practice this every day because I'll be thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm so busy tomorrow. But it's like, no, like, let me focus on what's like my, what do I have to do today? What's on my to-do list and not skipping ahead because that also makes it so much more overwhelming thinking about like everything you have to do. Just kind of like, yeah, just going through like the motions and making sure you're present and like what's actually coming next. But I have to work hard at it because I'm definitely an overthinker and I love to plan ahead and everything, which is great at times. But yeah, I think just reminding myself like, hey, I'm in this moment. Let's focus on what's happening right now.
Totally, just kind of getting away from the constant. I feel like we're
Yeah.
always thinking, I'm the same. Like I'm always thinking ahead. I'm like, so tomorrow I have to do this, and then wait, if I do this now, then I don't have to do it tomorrow, even though it's on tomorrow's list. May as well just leave it. I totally get what you mean, and so I think you're right. Just like focusing on the present moment, and once you're done your to-do list, like enjoying the rest of the day
Exactly.
and
I
having
think
a
that
fun
oftentimes
time.
what happens is that if we're not constantly going, it can be hard to know what to do.
Yeah, totally.
And so also knowing like things that you like to do for downtime are such a great
and
way
downtime
to-
is so important, and it's key to being successful and well rested and feeling good. So what do you like to do as a way to relax and take breaks?
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm kind of working on, finding that like balance between a personal life, work life, and also just like downtime to yourself, which definitely gets tricky. And I tend not to be the best at balancing all of that. And I always get like sick and or I'm tired and all that kind of stuff lately. So it's definitely something that I need to be much more disciplined on myself. But even for me, like I think everybody has different like ways that helps them to like take a break. Like for me, I really enjoy going to like the grocery store and like getting flowers or like going to Pilates classes, and other people just want to like, watch TV on their couch, and like it works, like different things work for different people. So I think really just doing what you truly enjoy. It might not be like, I guess, relaxing in other people's eyes, but I think if it's something that you enjoy and it brings you like peace of mind and happiness, and I think that's like a nice little break. So I just try to do like, I get like funny if I'm just sitting around. I like to always be doing something, but yeah, just doing little things that I like, I think kind of gives me a break. And then also hanging out with friends and taking time to talk with family always helps too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely different things do it for different people, different
Totally.
things. Like I feel like even between the two of us, we have
Yeah.
such different like needs for our downtime, and it's so funny how like sometimes I'm like, how can that be relaxing for
Yeah.
you? Like
And
she loves to play, like you love to play NASCAR with our
I
dad,
do,
like
I do.
on like the
we,
Xbox.
Yeah, we have like like this a giant steering wheel, so we'll like do like some car driving games. And
Yeah.
Mercedes is not that
Well,
big into
I like
gaming.
to do it
Yeah.
occasionally, but like my preference would be like to do a workout or to go for like
Yeah.
a walk. And so it's just so funny how different things energize and help different people. And so yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I agree. So, do you do something every day that brings you a small bit of happiness?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, I love kind of like hanging out with other people. So we have a Toyota Performance Center that I go to every day. So for me, even though I'm not like really like hanging out in like I guess like a super fun environment, like just getting that social aspect of like talking to my friends and like teammates and all that kind of stuff, that makes me happy. So yeah, it's kind of something I do every day. And then also just I feel like working out every morning kind of like helps clear my mind and kind of motivates me for the rest of the day. So yeah, I always try to take little things to do during the day, especially in the morning. Like I'm a big morning person, so I love to do things that I really enjoy in the morning. And then usually like the afternoon gets like stacked up with a bunch of obligations. But yeah.
Starting the day off on a positive note, just some time to yourself. I love that because it's like the world is just getting started and waking up, and you have some time to just be with yourself.
And spending time with people that, you know, you love spending time with, that you feel like elevate you, that you feel like they understand you. I feel like that's also such a great community to build.
Yes. So if you had to go back in time to when you were a teenager, what is one piece of advice that you wish you could give your teenage self?
Ooh, there's many things I'd love to tell my teenage self, but I think a big one is not to compare my journey to other people's, because I think it's so easy to compare, especially in like racing. Like, it's a very competitive environment, and I feel like we're always being compared with each other. But I think just knowing that your journey is your own, and you know, somebody might got this win or be driving for this team or whatever it may be, but just know that like your path is your own path and you're going to go at your own rate, and not really to compare yourself. And I think that goes for like just everybody like in life, like to not compare yourself to others, but it's so easy to do. But just knowing that like your path is your own, I think is really important. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think no matter where we are, we're always comparing ourselves to the people around us and saying, oh, they're, you know, doing this and they're doing that. They have a job. They got this mark. I didn't get that. What's wrong with me? But realizing that the only person you should be comparing yourself to is you, and trying to constantly like become a better version of yourself, improve upon your own skills and talents and wants. And so I think that can be difficult, but it's the key, because the comparison game is such like a challenging one. You can't win. You're never going to beat. There's always going to be somebody out there who's done something amazing, and you're like, whoa. But it's just to be happy with yourself. Like, you got to just be happy with yourself. So I think that's
definitely agree. I think that all the tips you've given today are so amazing and so phenomenal. So do you have a motivational quote that you love that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I would say one, like, kind of like my go-to that like I remind myself of is don't be afraid to be the first you, because I think it's so easy for people to like want to put other people in a box. And if you're doing something that's perceived as like different or out there, then I don't know, people get weird about it. But it's like, you can do whatever you want. Like, you know, maybe somebody hasn't done it before, but that doesn't mean that you can't be the first one to do it. So I think just kind of reminding myself that, because I think it's easy to listen to the voices around you to be a certain way, but I think just being the first you and really like embracing who you are and like what makes you happy is really important.
Yeah, just think outside of the box and don't be like confined by those around you, because sometimes the people that we're around think a certain way, and it's okay to think differently. And I think especially as teens, like you're stuck in like a high school or a middle school, and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone is studying the same stuff, or everyone's into the same things, and I don't want to go to a party, or I don't want to study, you know, law or whatever everybody's studying. And so being okay with, you know, doing your own thing and thinking a bit differently, and maybe realizing, I think what I really realized is as you kind of go out and into the world, do what you love, hang out with people who love the same thing, you will make friends and find people who are interested in the same.
But it's hard to do that if you're afraid to step out
and take that initial step.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like inertia. Like when you start doing something, it becomes so much easier, but it's just the initial first step is so much more difficult to get to.
So do you have anything like really exciting events, races, etc. coming out in the next couple of months?
Yeah, so I have Talladega, which is our next ARCA race, which I'm really excited for. That's our last super speedway on the schedule that we have, and obviously Talladega is a fun track to race at, so I'm very excited for that. And then following Talladega, the week after is my favorite track, Dover. So yeah, exciting stuff in April that I'm really looking forward to. So
yeah, that sounds amazing.
Sounds very exciting. Is there anywhere where our audience can find you if they want to keep up and see what's new?
Yeah, of course. I'm pretty much on every social media platform, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, or X, how some people call it. All just my first and last name, Toni Breidinger. So yeah, you can pretty much find me anywhere.
Perfect. Awesome. We will link all of those in the show notes as well, so it's really easy for anyone who's looking.
And we'll make sure to watch your races. We're super excited.
Definitely.
We're rooting for you.
Exactly. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys. It was amazing talking with you.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Hack Your Happiness. And thank you so much to Toni Breidinger for joining us today.
She is truly such an icon. The fact that she is one of the top NASCAR racers, along with a model who's been featured in so many massive campaigns and prints, is just incredible and so inspiring. I think it truly shows that you don't have to pick and choose what you want to pursue in life. If you're passionate about multiple things,
Just
go for it. Go for it. Anastasia, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from Toni today?
My biggest takeaway is about staying present. She talked so much about sometimes when you're overthinking and you're getting in your head, it's so much harder to perform because you're constantly thinking and ramping up anxiety and stress. But I think that was really important is just also getting in the habit of journaling, thinking about what you're grateful for, as well as just talking to people who support you and make you feel good is so important.
My biggest takeaway from Toni today is that when you de-stress your body, you de-stress your mind. It's so true. When we're all tense and clenched up, we feel more stressed out inside of our brains as well. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been sitting at a final exam and just all like sat there, you have a bad posture. Anastasia calls it my cockroach posture. Like I'm literally like this, and it's so true. Like I'm stressed out, and when you feel that way, you're not going into a given high pressure situation. And I use the example of a test because I think we've all taken a test at some point in our lives, so it's pretty relatable. But regardless of what the situation is, when you go into a high pressure situation and you are physically feeling that stress and displaying that stress, it affects your mind as well. And I think a lot of the times we don't make that connection. So I really love how Toni touched on, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, just allow yourself and your body to de-stress. And in that case, you will also just feel less stressed.
If you enjoyed this week's episode of Hack Your Happiness, please leave us a 5-star review from wherever you're listening.
Also, be sure to join our happiness family. It really helps support us, and we would absolutely love to have you as a part of our happiness family. It's completely free, and you can do that by following Hack Your Happiness on whatever platform you're listening on.
See you next time!